I know I'm 2 years too late for this video, but I figured, what the hell, I'll just go ahead and make it anyway. I have a comparison between the Rode WirelessGO and the Tascam DR-10L. So these are very similar in some respects, but also completely different. But they can be used in very similar circumstances, and you might want to buy one of these for similar reasons. So I wanted to make a video comparing these two and kind of giving you the pros and cons of each one, so you can decide which one might be right for you. So in this video, I'm recording to both simultaneously. I've got a white Tascam DR-10L that I'm recording to right now, and then I'm recording the WirelessGO using the same microphone, using the lav mic that came with the black DR-10L. So throughout the video, I'll just be switching between the two microphones, and you can listen to how they both sound, and I won't be doing anything in post as far as sweetening the audio or whatever. Later me here, I just wanted to give you a heads up on what the settings were on each device. So with the Tascam, I was recording in 24-bit, 48,000 hertz, and the gain was set to high. For the WirelessGO, I had it set to -12 dB, and I had the gain set on my A7S III to 1, which is as low as you can go and still accept a signal. So what are they? The Rode WirelessGO is a wireless lavalier microphone. So it has a transmitter and a receiver. The receiver plugs into your camera over 3.5mm microphone input, and so it records audio directly into your camera. The WirelessGO has a built-in omnidirectional microphone on the top of the transmitter, but it also takes a 3.5mm lavalier microphone. The Tascam, on the other hand, is a discrete audio recorder, so this is not a transmitter. It doesn't have another part to it. It just records directly onto micro SD cards. So you're going to have to sync up audio in post using this thing. Both of these devices retail for $200, so of course they could, go on sale, or you could find them used or something. There's definitely pluses and minuses to each of them. And let me just go ahead and talk about that real quick, as quick as I can. The pluses of the WirelessGO are it's really extremely simple to use. You pair them by hitting this little link button on the receiver, and they just link up pretty much right away, and they stay linked. I've never had to relink these things in, I think, over a year of owning it. Really, all you need to do is set the gain. There's a little gain switch or gain button on the receiver, so you can switch between 0 dB, -12, and -24 dB of gain, and then just combine that with the gain on your preamp in your camera to set the levels appropriately, and that's pretty much it. These operate on the 2.4 gigahertz wireless spectrum. You don't have to select channels, you don't have to search for a good frequency wherever you're operating. They just do that automatically. The DR-10L, on the other hand, since it's a discrete recorder, requires a little bit more setup, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It gives you a lot of options. You can select from different gain ranges on this thing too, so set the appropriate gain level for whomever you're recording. Another really awesome feature on the DR-10L is it actually has a backup recording that you can set to a lower gain level. So in case your main recording gets too hot and your talent starts yelling, you never know in this day and age what might happen in a live event. You have a backup recording at a lower level, so you'll have a good audio that's not clipping that you can just sync up and swap over to. Both of them have really long battery life. The Rode has a built-in battery that's chargeable over USB-C, and it comes with 2 cables. There we go. It comes with 2 cables, so you can charge the receiver and transmitter. Since it is a built-in battery, someday it's going to die, and I don't know that Rode will swap batteries for you, or you're just going to have to buy a whole new unit at some point. The DR-10L takes a AAA battery, so you can obviously swap batteries whenever they die. And depending on what kind of battery you put in here, this can last between 10 to 15 hours. Another pro feature of the DR-10L is it has a locking connector. So when you put in the 3.5mm TRS cable of the microphone, you can turn this little knob and just lock that in there, so you won't accidentally pull the microphone out. I mean, you could hulk out on it and rip it, but you would break it. But the WirelessGO does not have a locking connector, so it's extremely easy. I mean, it's like pretty easy to pull that out, which is not a good thing. The WirelessGO has a nice little clip here that has little teeth on it. So if you need to put this on your talent, on their belt, in their pocket, on their shirts, it's pretty easy to do that, and it's going to stay in place pretty well. The DR-10L has a belt clip as well, but it's like, it takes a lot of force to actually pry it up, and then you got to slide it on. It's tiring. I mean, you'll definitely get out of breath just trying to put this on somebody. But once it's there, that shit is there, and it's not coming off. The WirelessGO does not come with its own lavalier microphone, but it does have a built-in mic. So you can just put this on your talent somewhere close to their mouth and just use this as the microphone. I think the con for me with that is that it is a little bit big to be, clipped on someone's shirt. It'll definitely pull the fabric down, but it does have this shiny reflective surface on the front side of it, as well as the Rode logo. And then on the clip side, it also has a Rode logo on there. I just put a little gaff tape on mine because I don't want to be a walking billboard for Rode. The DR-10L also has a headphone input, so you can monitor audio right on the recorder. It's got a headphone volume switch on the other side, plus and minus. And then on this side, just switching back and forth willy-nilly between the two. There's the power switch and the record switch. So this is pretty ingenious the way they did this record switch. Once you turn it to record, the way it's fit into this little housing, it would be really difficult, next to impossible, although not impossible, to accidentally stop the recording. So very smart the way they did that. All right, so let me just talk about pros and cons real quick for each device, and let me consult my notes here. Starting with the WirelessGO, pros are it syncs in camera, so you don't have to worry about syncing audio. Built-in mic, so you can always have that if you forget a lav mic, if your lav mic breaks or something. The clips are really easy to use, and they slot into cold shoe on the camera. Super easy to use, very plug and play, and just easy to get up and running with these things. Pretty long battery life, and last pro for me anyway is just how small and light they are. They weigh about the same as a bird feather. As for cons, for $200, it doesn't come with a lav mic. Built-in battery is kind of a pro and a con, not having to worry about batteries. You'll never forget a battery, but the fact that the battery's gonna die eventually, meaning you're gonna most likely need to replace the entire unit, it's kind of a bummer. Next is no locking connector for the microphone. I have had somebody pull out the microphone on a professional job before, so it will happen, it can and will happen. And the other big con is just the nature of the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. It's a very populated spectrum, so it's the same thing that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth operate on, same thing that home microwaves operate. So there's the potential of RF interference if you are in, like say in an event space, wedding, corporate event, and you've got like hundreds of people, and maybe they've got Wi-Fi on their cell phones or Bluetooth, and it's all transmitting all the time. You have potential of, signal interference. Maybe not likely, because everything is supposed to be operating on its own discrete band within that whole spectrum, but it is, something that could happen. But there's also the other thing of just having signal dropout due to distance. If you get too far away, the further away you get, the more attenuated the signals become, and eventually you're just going to lose connection. And then also, if you have something blocking, coming in between the transmitter and receiver, is going to potentially block the signal. Even having your talent turn their back and obscuring the line of sight between the transmitter and receiver could potentially cause it to lose signal. Okay, as far as the DR-10L pros, just like the WirelessGO, small and light, discreet. So you get the included lav mic with the DR-10L. You get the dual record, so you get the redundant recording, but also at a lower level. Long battery life. Another big pro with this is there's no signal interference, so there's no worries about you dropping signal with the DR-10L. So that's just not even a factor. And lastly is the locking connector. As far as cons, there's no live monitoring. So once you get this thing recording and you put it on your talent, and they walk away, you have no way of knowing if something happens to your recording until you get it back. On the flip side, with the WirelessGO, since it is routed to your camera, you can plug in headphones into your camera and then monitor what's going on with your audio. So if something does go wrong, if your talent does unplug the microphone, you're gonna know that right away. So that is something in favor of the WirelessGO. The clip is a beast, so that's kind of a positive and a negative. You must sync the audio in post, which isn't difficult, but if you think about recording a live event, you're gonna have a lot of audio on here, just a lot of nothing, a lot of dead space, a lot of people talking in back rooms that you're gonna have to sift through in order to find the actual audio that you want, and then sync that up with the audio that you recorded in camera. A big con with this is you've got no way of knowing if something happens to your recording. So which one should you choose? I think it really comes down to what your primary use case is. I think if you are an event shooter, I would probably recommend going with the DR-10L. I feel like even though there is the possibility that you would lose the recording, the fact that there's no potential of signal loss I think it makes it a little bit more secure than the WirelessGO. So for me, I would trust the DR-10L just a little bit more than the WirelessGO. For YouTubers, the WirelessGO is perfect. Just dead simple to use, syncs up right in your camera, and you're most likely not going to go far enough away from it to lose signal. You're not going to turn your back on the camera, and it'll just work perfectly well. And it's not like do or die. If you lose a recording, if something happens, you can just do it again. For other like video production, if you're doing like commercials, promo stuff, any narrative things, I think the WirelessGO can work, but it's not a completely professional system, once again, because it doesn't have a locking connection. But if it's something that's not like critical, if people aren't going to get all bent out of shape that you have to plug in the microphone, then it's fine. It's a way to save a little bit of money. But as you start making more money, I would definitely, once again, think about investing in something that's a little bit more secure. So anyway, the bottom line is, if you are doing, the more professional your use case is, the more I would point you in the direction of the DR-10L. And the more casual your use case is, I would say, yeah, go ahead and get the WirelessGO. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you got something out of that. Maybe I made your decision easier if you were looking at devices like this. And if that's the case, consider like me, maybe subscribe to me. If you found this valuable, maybe, subscribe. And if you are thinking about buying either of these devices, take a look at the links in the description below. They are going to be affiliate links, which you can use at no additional cost, but I'll get a small kickback from Jeff Bezos. Just really, not even pennies from his couch cushion, like micro pennies, if that's even a thing. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. You're rambling when your camera battery dies. It's essentially like your camera just telling you to shut up and get on with it already.